What if I told you the future of war was sold to us as surgical, clean, and humane, but turned out to be just another illusion of control? The US drone program, celebrated as the next step in modern warfare, was meant to replace messy ground wars with precision strikes from the sky. But behind the Pentagon's promises and the political speeches lies a darker truth. A system that kills more civilians than it admits, expands conflict zones instead of ending them, and quietly normalizes a world where surveillance and assassination from above are just routine. If you're into smart stories that challenge the official narrative, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We can't expose the system without you. Drones were introduced to the American public as the miracle weapon of the post-9/11 era. No more thousands of boots on the ground, no more body bags coming home. Just remote-controlled planes piloted from Nevada, taking out bad guys with laser-guided precision. It sounded like science fiction. It sounded clean. But here's the truth: the Pentagon and the White House rarely say out loud, drones don't reduce war, they multiply it. They create new battlefields, stretching far beyond declared war zones. Yemen, Somalia, Pakistan. Countries where Congress never voted for war, yet drones patrol the skies anyway. And the precision they boast about. A 2015 leaked Pentagon study admitted that in one period of drone strikes in Afghanistan, 9 out of 10 people killed were not the intended target. 9 out of 10. So why does the story we're told still sound like surgical, effective, necessary? Because the Pentagon and political leaders agreed early on that drones weren't just tools of war, they were tools of messaging. A way to convince the public that endless war could be bloodless, at least for Americans. Let's talk about the two forces that built this system: President Barack Obama and the Pentagon. Obama came into office in 2009 promising to end the Bush-era wars, but instead of winding down America's military reach, he rebranded it. Under his leadership, drone strikes increased tenfold. The same man who won the Nobel Peace Prize became the president most associated with remote control warfare. Why? Because drones fit his political problem perfectly. They let him reduce American casualties while still projecting power across the Middle East. He didn't have to send 100,000 troops into another Iraq or Afghanistan. He could send a drone, announce a high-value target had been eliminated, and call it progress. And yet the contradiction was glaring. A president elected on hope and diplomacy signed off on kill lists every Tuesday, authorizing strikes with limited oversight. He spoke of justice while overseeing a program that erased due process entirely. Meanwhile, the Pentagon, the beating heart of America's defense machine, saw drones as a dream weapon, cheaper than aircraft carriers, less politically risky than troops, and ideal for a military culture obsessed with surveillance and control. Drones allowed the Pentagon to wage wars in shadows, in places most Americans couldn't even point to on a map. They sold drones not just as weapons, but as symbols of technological superiority, proof that America could dominate without sacrifice. But in practice, they became a shortcut, a way to avoid the harder questions of diplomacy, reconstruction, or strategy. And here's the contradiction AI uncovers when you line up the data. The more drones the Pentagon deployed, the more terrorism spread. Strikes intended to eliminate extremists often created new ones. Families destroyed, communities radicalized, militants using civilian deaths as recruitment posters. Obama and the Pentagon both knew this cycle existed, but they kept pressing the button anyway. Why? Because drones gave them what no other weapon could: the illusion of a war without consequences. Now, let's let AI do what human politics won't. Connect the dots. Pull the Pentagon's own strike reports, cross-reference them with on-the-ground journalism, and you see a clear pattern. The official story is always sanitized. Militants killed. Precision strike. But local reports, they tell of weddings obliterated, aid workers mistaken for insurgents, children caught in the blast radius. Follow the budgets. The Pentagon poured billions into drones while slashing funds for diplomacy or rebuilding war-torn regions. Follow the speeches. Obama defended drones as targeted, effective, and necessary, while knowing full well that nearly every strike carried what his aides privately called significant risk of civilian casualties. Here's the kicker. AI also tracks how drone technology spread. The US normalized it, and now more than 100 countries possess drones. Some of them allies, some of them adversaries. The same weapon that was supposed to keep America ahead has now leveled the playing field. Cheap, unmanned, deadly. A future of war fought without soldiers, just machines targeting humans in ever-expanding lists. Can these players ever be part of the solution? The Pentagon, addicted to drones as its favorite tool, won't stop itself. Obama? His legacy is already written, the president who mainstreamed drone warfare. If the architects won't change course, then maybe they are the problem. Here's what almost never makes it into the Pentagon press release: the long shadow drones leave behind. In rural Yemen, parents pull children out of school because the sound of a drone overhead terrifies them. Farmers abandon fields because they fear gathering in groups will look like a terrorist meeting on a military satellite. In Somalia, entire villages live under a buzzing sky where every noise could mean death from above. This isn't just about numbers, it's about psychology. Drones don't just kill, they haunt. They create entire populations living under constant surveillance, never knowing if they're next. Imagine the stress of never having the sky feel safe again. And here's the deeper tragedy. Every strike doesn't just take a life, it erodes the idea of justice itself. Families never see trials, evidence, or accountability. Just explosions in the night, followed by silence. Generations grow up believing America is not a country, but a faceless machine that rains death without warning. And yet, in the US, drones are sold as progress. Fewer American soldiers dying, fewer messy wars on the evening news. Out of sight, out of mind. But here's the irony. By outsourcing death to machines, America has made war easier to start, harder to end, and more detached from public accountability than ever before. And still, everyone acts like this is fine. So now you know. The US drone dilemma isn't really about drones at all. It's about power with no limits. It's about political leaders who want the appearance of peace while continuing endless war. It's about a Pentagon that builds weapons faster than it builds solutions. And the more we accept drones as normal, the more we accept a future where killing is automated, invisible, and unquestioned. So here's the challenge. Will we keep letting leaders reduce human life to data points on a screen, justifying every strike as necessary? Or will we demand a system where war isn't the first tool of policy, but the last? Because if we stay silent, drones won't just be weapons of today, they'll become the blueprint for tomorrow's wars. Wars without soldiers, without borders, without accountability. Wars where the only certainty is that someone, somewhere, will be next. Here's the question you have to ask yourself. Do you want to live in a world where the sky itself becomes a weapon, where every leader holds the power to erase lives with a click? Or do you believe we deserve something better than endless war disguised as progress? If this vision makes sense to you, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're building something smarter, together.